Hello, welcome to my channel, The Wiggles Project. My name is Jennifer Sullivan, and I was diagnosed with young onset Parkinson's disease when I was 38 years old. And in today's video, I thought I'd give 5 tips. I'm not a doctor, I'm not a medical professional by any means. I just have Parkinson's, and these are 5 tips from my own experience on what I would recommend to a friend or a family member if they were newly diagnosed with Parkinson's disease. So my first tip would be to not fear the uncertain. So when you get diagnosed with a progressive neurological disease, one of the hardest things I had, being that I was 38 years old, I felt like I had just reached the peak of my career. I had just opened a restaurant, which had been my dream. And so the uncertainty around the progression, I had a really hard time with in the beginning. I was able to work through that. And if you think about it, it's not specific to Parkinson's really, uncertainty. I mean, life is uncertain. The pandemic coming out of nowhere, that was something that took us all by surprise. So things can happen that are not Parkinson's related that can affect your career, affect your health. So it's not Parkinson's specific. So I wouldn't let the uncertainty aspect of it get to you, because the truth is no doctor is going to be able to say to you like, hey, this is where you're going to be in a year, this is where you're going to be in 2 years. It's just not going to happen. And I got this great, a friend of mine gave me this AARP interview with Michael J. Fox, and in here's a great example too, because also on that career side, the uncertainty is like, am I going to be able to bartend and be in my kitchen and cook and all of that stuff. But when Michael J. Fox was diagnosed in 1991, he was told that he had 10 years left of work, and he continued to act for another 30 years. So that's just one example of how it's just, you have to find peace and accept that you're not gonna know, and it's totally okay, and that you can have a thriving career and continue to work after having a young onset Parkinson's diagnosis or Parkinson's diagnosis, wherever it is that you're at. We all progress differently depending on how we take care of ourselves. It's very nuanced and very individual. It's an individual disease to us, so it makes it our own disease in some ways. Yeah, find a way to be comfortable with the unknown and what's uncertain that lies ahead of you. My second tip is what I call finding your mental health ninja. I think it's really important that you have some way that you can navigate the down days when you have a bad day, because they are inevitable and they will happen. What we want to try and do is to not just get sucked into that downward spiral. So for me, what that meant, I found this therapist to help me process what this diagnosis meant for me, for my career, for my love life, all of it. And it was a life-changing experience, and it was quite eye-opening as well, because I discovered my own habits that were just unhealthy. It was, for me to assume the negative and assume the absolute worst outcome, it's not benefiting me in any way just to go there. And not think, well, wait a second, what else might be possible? Because there are other options. It's not just all doom and gloom. Having a way to snap yourself out of those dark times. It's gonna happen. We just don't want to live and exist there, because that can snowball and make everything with Parkinson's, your symptoms, all of it, even worse. So we want to keep you healthy and help you to find a way to live your best with Parkinson's disease, because it's totally possible and it's done all the time. My third bit of advice would be definitely get a movement disorder specialist, somebody that knows Parkinson's disease inside and out. They are people who focus and specialize on movement disorders. Parkinson's disease is a movement disorder, so you want somebody who specializes in movement disorders, because it is a very complicated disease, and you want that focus that a neurologist and a general, doctor, primary physician is just not going to have that knowledge. Definitely get a movement disorder specialist. I drive 2.5 hours to see mine because it is so important. And along with the movement disorder specialist, I have like, I feel like now, and this has taken years to assemble, but I have like a healthcare team. You know, my primary physician I absolutely love. I have my movement disorder specialist. I have my cognitive behavioral therapist. Like if anything really dramatic goes on that I cannot pull myself out of, I call her up right away and she's there for me. And it's super important. It's not an easy thing to do, but it will make your life with Parkinson's that much easier to have a team of people that you have a relationship with and that you trust. My fourth bit of advice would be to spend the time necessary to do research on the medications that are available to you and the treatment options. And this is why you want to do your research, because there's like MAOB inhibitors and agonists, dopamine agonists, and there's all of these categories and drugs, and it can be very overwhelming. Dopamine agonists, I knew for a fact I did not want to even go near any dopamine agonists because I love to shop. I love to spend my money. I play poker, and I've got, I guess you could say, I wouldn't say impulse issues, but like it's there. I could see if I got on a medicine, and even carbidopa levodopa has these risks, but it's not anywhere, from what I understand, it's nowhere near as intense as it is with the dopamine agonist. Like that was one thing for sure I knew going into it, and sure enough, you know, they were offered. And also too, you might be in this state where you're like, I'll take anything, just give it to me, give it to me. And you don't want to be there with Parkinson's, ideally. Go into these visits having an understanding of what these medicines can do for you and your symptoms. Okay, and here's my fifth and final bit of advice would be to get involved with the Young Onset Parkinson's community. Find a support group online, something local if you can. At the time when I was diagnosed in 2013, my doctors really didn't have a lot of young onset resources. And the other thing too that you might hear as well is that, oh, you know, there's a group that's going on, but everybody's, you know, like in their 60s or 70s. You know, and there's nothing wrong with that, but it is different when you're 38 years old and you're diagnosed with the disease. Finding somebody who's around that age, the same age as you are, to help, you know, you navigate and work through it. I cannot tell you. So like I did have a couple of Parkinson's friends at the time, but we didn't talk a bunch. If I ever did have a question, I could always reach out, but there's nothing like a regular group that you meet with. These relationships are formed, and going back, I wish that I had gotten involved with the Parkinson's community sooner. And you know, you don't have to go public. Everyone's been that I've met in these groups is they're private, and you don't have to worry about, you know, people finding out that you're in there. And the relationships, the information that has been shared has been just incredibly helpful. And there's just, it's hard to explain how just having somebody else out there who knows what it feels like and what you're going through, it's invaluable. And I wish that I had done that sooner. Yeah, so those are my tips. I hope that you find them helpful. Please comment or email, subscribe to the channel. I answer all the comments and emails. I love hearing from people, and yeah, thank you for watching.